Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Waddle from All Play. Waddle is a 2 to 5 player game of penguin placement, in which players are going to be placing their penguins out onto these ice floes in order to both get points for their waddles being the larger group of penguins, we'll show you more of that soon, as well as points for the various fish based on how they surround the various ponds. So for example, if you see over here, this pond over here consists of 2 fish, a 6-point fish and a 5-point fish, and depending on how players surround that, they're going to score points for it based on majority. The person who has the most fish and most penguins around this lake over here is going to score the higher point value, and the second most will score the lower point value. There's a bunch of things around ties and how you handle all that. I'm not going to be doing that for the sake of this review, just to give you a sense of how to play, but that's the basic idea. How do you actually get your penguins on the board? Great question. I'm glad you asked. You do so by looking at this little chart over here and then seeing whose turn it is, and that player can place a penguin out around the active pond, which is going to be 1, and you're going to work your way up in order. So for example, right now, red can choose to place a penguin out over here. This is a giant area full of a lot of places to place your penguins, so red's going to place their penguin out over here because they think that is worthwhile to start their little area. They take their little marble, move it to the back of that train, and now you know that it's purple's turn. Purple has the exact same thought, but they're a little bit more interested in this 8-point or 7-point. Which one of those do we want to go for? You know what, why don't we hedge our bets a little bit? We're going to go for the 8-point over here, starting to try to get placement around. Actually, you know what, the 7-point might be better because the 7-point, we're already guaranteed to have one of 3. This is one of 4 spots. We're going to go for the 7 over there. Purple moves to the back. It's now yellow's turn. Yellow sees what's happening over here. They could mess around with things. They also know that the next pond in order is 2. Yellow's going to scout ahead. They're going to walk away from this party and move to the next area. They're not going to place anything out, but they will have first access to placing at the next lake. Right now it's back to red. Red can place one out. They are going to continue to go. They want to try to block off purple a little bit. No reason to let purple get too much of a spread over here. So they go over there. They move to the back. Purple says, look at that. I can actually get my 11-1 over here as well. It's back to red. Red tries to make a move or decision right now. And red's actually kind of content saying, you know what? We're actually going to kind of let things go. So red scouts ahead and they go back to the next area, which means now purple is the only person left, which means purple has to place out penguins until the area is complete around that particular lake. They have to. They have no choice. They must place all of their penguins out. You can't skip. Once everyone else has scouted ahead, you must finish off that lake. Then they move to the next lake and we move our marker. We move our to over here, and at this point it's the same problem. Yellow has the first dibs over here. Yellow is going to place one out over here because they see that this lake is 6-5 over here. That's a good place to get started. They can also try to work their way around over here a little bit, but not necessarily worth that. You know what? They will go ahead and just place it out over here. Yellow goes to the back of the train over there, and now we have red taking their turn. Red wants in on this as well. They are mindful that they have a big grouping here and they want to keep their grouping separate, so they're going to place there, moves to the back over there, and purple takes a look and says, you know what, we could get in on this, but I don't like that. Purple's going to scout ahead. Back to yellow and red, and we'll be on the review part soon. I just want to show you how things play out. Back to yellow and red. Yellow will once again go over here, try to continue their grouping, and then move to the back, and red says, you know what, I don't actually want this one over here, so I'm going to scout ahead, forcing yellow to take that spot because they have to. We move our marker to the 3 over here, and this is where we'll start placing, and we'll do this last one, and we'll go to the scoring and how it all plays out. Over here, we take a look, and we see, we're back up to purple first. Purple could go there. Purple is mindful they have this waddle. It could be a bigger waddle because the way your waddles score, at least in a 3-player or higher game, you can have a maximum size of 8. 8 penguins or more are worth 36 points, and if you have more than that, it doesn't help you. It's inefficient. So you want to kind of have 8 penguins, but more than that's just being inefficient with your penguins. So purple is going to try to decide, you know what, I don't know if I want to get here or not. What if we go to the 4? The 4 is a good spot. We're going to scout ahead and skip that right now. Purple's going to immediately scout ahead, and it's on to red. Red could try to figure out how to go over here. They have a whole area they could go. Honestly, red's going to jump it. Red does not see the interest in that. It's going to go directly to yellow. Yellow has to fill in all their penguins, which is great to a sense because they have that pond. They have their grouping of penguins over here, but they are burning through this right now, and they are limited to what they can benefit from, so we'll see how it goes. This moves to over here. The game would continue, but we'll show you how things score. At the end of the game, you're going to score based off the size of your waddles. If that were to happen right now, yellow has a waddle of 6 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be worth 21 points, and they have a waddle of 1. That's worth 1 point. You score each of your groups of adjacent penguins. You also score for the ponds that you're around. Again, this is technically an incomplete game right now, but an easy one is this is going to go to yellow, 1 point to yellow. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to throw this down over here and throw this down here, pretending they're on the board. This pond would go to yellow because there's most around this pond, getting 6 points. And then this one, 5 points, would go to purple because they have one of their double penguins, which I haven't really shown you until now, but each player has 2 double penguins they can place out. You're going to repeat that for every single pond in the game. Add up your waddles and your ponds to see the fish you got, and that's your score in the game. game, and that is how you play Waddle Waddle. It's all about scouting ahead, it's all about trying to mess with your opponent, which means I think it's a good time to dive into a review of what I like and don't like and all that stuff, because Waddle is cutthroat. Waddle is one of those games that's deceptively simple as far as the actual rules. The rules are, place a penguin based on where the current penguins have to be placed. That's all there is to it. But scouting ahead in this game is everything. The fact that the last player around a pond has to fill that pond with all their penguins, lake, pond, whatever terminology you want to use, the fact that the last player has to do so can really mess with them in all the worst ways. And when I say all the worst ways, I mean all the worst ways. You can have a situation where purple's over here with a whole separate waddle. They have their waddle of 8 over here. They have the waddle of 7 over here or 6, whatever it is. And then suddenly it gets to this spot over here. You're scoring this lake, and everyone else scouted ahead, leaving purple holding the bag. If that happens, purple has to place their penguin out, which will connect their two waddles, costing them an absolute ton of points. That's like a game-breaking move that has happened in the games I've played, but even past like that level of terribleness for you, because it's terrible. That's the game's over for you when that happens. But the general strategy of trying to figure out when is it worth placing penguins, because you want to place penguins. If you pass all the time, congratulations, you have first access to nothing. That's what the game will happen. If you consistently pass, you'll consistently have first dibs on nothing because you're always waiting for something better to come along. The game's all about figuring out which sequence do you want first dibs on, which sequence is it worth passing on to force your opponent's hand or to have earlier access to the next thing, making sure to actually claim those first access along the way, while making sure that your opponents are left holding the bag of the least efficient combination. And the map is going to be variable every single time, because this map is made up of a ton of little hexagon tiles that you can put together in any format you want, including, which gets fun as you do it, including leaving holes all over the map in different ways, totally changing up the way you approach the game because of that kind of situation. So the game is very much about trying to scan the board, look for what the board is going to look like, play out the sequence as you go through it, and it's incredibly simple. The game learns and teaches in 5 minutes, learns in 5 minutes, plays in like 10 to 15 minutes, and it's incredibly simple as far as how all of that works, but it's incredibly cutthroat as you play through it. The game is so mean because of forcing your opponent's hand and knowing what the relative value of the board is based on the way the numbers cascade, based on what the opponents have done until now, and based on what you think you can get out of it at any given point. It is such a clean game as far as how it works, and so much cutthroat strategy is baked into it. As far as what I don't like in the game, there's really only one thing, but for right now, it is a big thing. And I will caveat this with the fact that sometimes with all play games, this has been a complaint that I've had when I cover some other games, where I'm like, hey, this game, it's amazing. It's amazing at what it's doing. I think it's fantastic at what it's doing. I haven't been this charmed by something this simple yet this cutthroat since Hey, That's My Fish. A great game that I highly recommend you check out. But for this one, the one thing holding it back is the fact that there's not really a lot of variability to the game. Sure, you're working with a different puzzle every time, the different combination of how this plays out, that's going to be different, but the core idea of what it is you're doing, the mental gymnastics you're jumping through, that's going to be the same every single time, with the caveat that on the back of the scoreboard, there are some expansions. That I don't have the expansions, I haven't played the expansions, that might mix things up for me, I don't know. I think even things like basic goals could give you a lot more gameplay replayability if you had different goals the players have to work for in, I don't even know what they could be. I don't know what they could be, but if you had something that mixes up the gameplay more and gives us more variability to it, that would be the one thing that I'm looking for from it. Because outside of that, it's easy to play, it's quick to play, it's easy to teach, it plays quickly, I said that already, it's quick to play, and it gives you a ton of strategy with a very accessible game. It's just that it's very much doing one thing and one thing well, which over time can limit where I feel about this game, a year from now, 3 years from now, even 6 months from now, depending, because I've played this game a lot already. I've gone to it again and again and again, because it's so easy to play that I've consistently played it. It's one of those games that every time I've pulled it out, I've played like 4 or 5 games of it, and so it's, well, maybe not 4, 3 to 5 games, 3 to 4 games of it every time I've pulled it out. It's a very easy game to play. I'm still charmed by it, but I am very mindful of that one-trick pony aspect and whether this will hold up longevity-wise. I do plan on picking up the expansions, by the way, just to make sure. I'm not getting rid of this game until at least I try that, and I'm not getting rid of this game anytime soon, but at some point down the road, I could see myself saying, I've played this one out. As far as final thoughts on Waddle, honestly, that's kind of it. Waddle is amazing at what it's doing. I was blown away by how much I like this game for the level of cutthroat strategy that is going on here. The only thing holding it back for me, at least in terms of what the game is trying to be, is the fact that it's the exact same game every single time you play. I'd love to see things that mix that up, that give it more of a... It's always hard, because the more you throw in that mixes it up, the more you remove from the cleanliness of how good this game is. So it's one of those darned if you do, darned if you don't, but at the very least, I'd like to try expansions and see what they add to the experience. Rating wise, I'm coming in at a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy it. It's doing one thing, but it's doing that one thing really, really well. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Hey, That's My Fish, like I mentioned earlier. I will say, I left out one thing. Waddle does work best at, okay, Waddle works well at 3 to 4. It's a little like, I think the more players you add, the less you're doing in the game, so I should add that caveat, but maybe the less penguins you get out. So for me, 3 is kind of the sweet spot, 4 is okay, 5 less so, a 2 is incredibly cutthroat and mean. I think my preference is 3, but 2 is definitely giving you a good vibe. As far as the reason I remember that is because Hey, That's My Fish, the game I'm going to recommend. Hey, That's My Fish is a great game. That one I really recommend specifically at 2 players. I think it shines at 2, and at 3 or 4 it's less ideal. Versus Waddle actually does a great job at maintaining that cutthroat strategy and not feeling victim to the other players, even at higher player counts. And then also, check out Through the Desert, which All Play actually just did a redone version of that as well, so there's a reprint on Through the Desert. That's another great game where every single move matters, incredibly clean strategy, and a lot going on, designed by Raina Knizia, and a game that has had multiple reprints consistently around for good reason. In any case, then until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.